Welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever actually stopped to wonder how your inbox just magically filters out millions of spam emails in a fraction of a second? Well, spoiler alert, it is definitely not magic. It's actually this fascinating reality built on surprisingly simple math. And it honestly forms the entire foundation of natural language processing, or NLP. Today we're diving into naive Bayes, which is literally one of the fastest, most powerful probabilistic classification algorithms in all of machine learning. Let's get into it.
So how exactly does the computer instantly know an email is spam? Well, to wrap our heads around this, think of a really practical analogy, like a doctor diagnosing an illness. A doctor doesn't just look at one single thing, right? They weigh various completely independent symptoms, a fever, a cough, maybe some fatigue, and they use all of that to estimate the most likely outcome. Each symptom provides a little piece of evidence, and together, they help the doctor predict the probability of a specific disease. Well, naive Bayes works in a remarkably similar way. It combines independent probabilities to make lightning-fast predictions about data.
Here is our agenda for today. We're going to cover the supervised learning macro view, unpacking Bayes' theorem, the naive concept, 3 types of naive Bayes, real-world applications, and finally, bias and ethical challenges. Section 1, supervised learning macro view. Okay, so machine learning basically splits into 2 main branches. On one hand, you've got unsupervised learning, which is all about discovering hidden patterns in raw, unlabeled data. But on the other hand, we have supervised learning, which is exactly where naive Bayes lives. This requires labeled examples. Imagine a human expert looking at a bunch of images of fast food and explicitly labeling them. Pizza, burger, or taco. The computer learns from these specific labeled inputs, so it can accurately classify future images. By definition, supervised machine learning is the process of training a model using a dataset that contains input variables and their corresponding output labels to make accurate predictions on unseen data. For you Python beginners and aspiring data scientists out there, this implies a very strict workflow. Before any algorithm can make a prediction, you have to collect the data, clean it, handle any missing values, and use tools like the train test split function to divide your dataset into training and testing sets. This whole process allows the algorithm to learn patterns during training, minimize its errors, and correctly classify completely new information later on. In naive Bayes, it is a classic, foundational tool in this supervised toolkit.
Section 2, Unpacking Bayes' Theorem.
At the very core of all this, we have Bayes' theorem. It's basically a fundamental formula for calculating conditional probability. The equation is that the posterior probability equals the prior multiplied by the likelihood, all divided by the evidence. Now, if that sounds like heavy statistics, take a breath, don't worry. While the math might look a little intimidating at first glance, if you're coding in Python, libraries like scikit-learn completely abstract this calculation away behind the scenes when you train a model. Conceptually, this formula just gives us a really systematic way to update our prior knowledge with new evidence that we extract straight from the data. Let's just logically walk through the calculation steps. Step 1 is the prior probability, which is just our initial belief about a situation. Step 2 is the likelihood, meaning the specific evidence our new data provides. Step 3 is the evidence, or the overall probability of seeing that data in the first place. And finally, step 4 is the posterior probability, which is our final updated prediction. So how do we combine these steps to predict the highest probability class? Well, think about forecasting the weather. Your prior belief might be that it rarely ever rains in your city. However, the likelihood of cloudy skies on the days it actually does rain is super high. So if you step outside and see cloudy skies, boom, that's your new evidence. You update your belief to calculate the posterior. Result? It is highly probable it's going to rain today.
Section 3, The Naive Concept.
It really all comes down to this core idea. A naive Bayes classifier assumes that the presence of a feature in a class is independent of other features. Basically, the algorithm naively assumes that every single input feature is completely 100% independent of the others. Now, in the real world, that is almost never true. For instance, in a spam email, the word win and the word cash are highly correlated. They usually show up together. A huge common mistake beginners make is ignoring this assumption when feeding highly correlated data sets into their model. The naive Bayes algorithm ignores that relationship entirely, treating win and cash as totally isolated, independent pieces of evidence. This assumption is definitely naive, but honestly, it's a real game changer because it makes the underlying math incredibly fast and efficient to compute while still giving us surprisingly accurate predictions.
Section 4, 3 types of naive Bayes.
Now, if you are working in Python with scikit-learn, you absolutely have to choose the right tool for the job. And there are three main types. First up is Gaussian naive Bayes, which you'd use for continuous numerical data, assuming a normal bell curve distribution. Second is multinomial naive Bayes, and this one is perfect for word counts and text classification. Third is Bernoulli naive Bayes, which handles binary features, meaning strictly true or false, yes or no data. Once you instantiate the right model, call your fit function, and make your predictions, it is absolutely crucial to evaluate your model properly. Please don't just rely on basic accuracy. Make sure you're exploring metrics like precision, recall, and the confusion matrix so you truly understand how well your naive Bayes model is actually performing.
Section 5. Real-world applications.
Because of its incredibly fast training and prediction speeds, this algorithm is perfect for real-time applications. I mean, it is the classic engine behind spam email detection, but it's also heavily utilized for medical diagnosis, weighing various patient symptoms to suggest an illness. It instantly powers news document categorization, sorting through millions of daily articles. It's fantastic for modern NLP tasks too, like sentiment analysis for customer feedback or even fake news detection. Banks even use it for customer credit risk scoring, quickly deciding if a loan applicant is low or high risk. Ultimately, its ability to easily handle massive, high-dimensional data makes it a total staple across so many industries.
Section 6. Bias and ethical challenges.
Okay, we have to talk about what happens when deploying these models out in the wild. We must look out for four main types of bias: algorithmic bias, data bias, human bias in AI development, and bias in model training and deployment. Because a naive system purely relies on historical data to calculate its probabilities, any data bias or algorithmic bias can easily cause it to replicate and even amplify historical discrimination. If the data is skewed from the start, the system's prior and likelihood calculations will fundamentally bake in those exact prejudices.
To really understand the practical impact of this, just consider this striking statistic: 30%. Research shows that biased AI facial recognition systems can misclassify women and people of color at rates up to 30% higher than white men. Furthermore, diagnostic AI models in healthcare that were trained on skewed datasets have been found to severely underperform for minority populations. The math might be incredibly fast, and the Python code might be super easy to implement, but if we don't rigorously evaluate the data we feed it, the outcomes can be actively harmful.
So, how do we actually fix this? Here are some crucial bias mitigation best practices for all you aspiring ML engineers. First up is data preprocessing. Doing thorough exploratory data analysis, or EDA, is absolutely non-negotiable before you ever call that fit function. You have to balance and augment your data. Second is fairness-aware feature selection, which ensures we aren't accidentally using proxies for protected demographics. Third involves post-processing threshold adjustments to recalibrate the model's output predictions. And finally, pushing for explainable AI, or XAI, to basically pierce that black box and provide total transparency on how a model actually reached its decision.
Which leaves us with a huge question. As AI assumes more critical roles in society, from loan approvals to medical care, how can we ensure that these naive algorithms make fair decisions rather than just mathematically fast ones? The tension between rapid, probabilistic efficiency and our ethical responsibility is honestly a major hurdle for the next generation of data scientists. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the data, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.